We're locked and loaded, and we are with Kian.
Before we start, I just want to say that this weekend in Cincinnati would not have been a success without the help of my good friend here, TP.
Yeah.
Showing me around.
Oh,
I mean, he did try to get me to eat a lot of meat.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
vegetarian, but
Skyline.
well,
Well, and what I also like telling people that come into the podcast is you're not really looking at the cameras. We're having like a conversation, right?
right.
Have you seen No Jumper?
No.
This is what this is kind of modeled after.
Okay.
Big fan of Adam 22. He actually just landed a deal with Atlantic, basically developing new talent. And he helped out Little Pump, Little Xans, a couple other hip hop artists. And the same thing is true for this podcast, that I'm not really wanting to have like an exclusive hip hop based podcast. I want to allow artists to not only be able to talk about their music, but also to be able to talk about themselves,
Their beliefs.
out of the context of the music business.
Absolutely.
Now, I do know that you are a pretty spiritual guy, you know, whether or not it comes down to yoga studios or artwork.
Right.
How has that played a role in your music?
To me, God is everything. Okay.
Yeah.
All of my experiences, everything that I've ever had, anything that I've ever received, anything that has happened in the past is happening in the present or will happen in the future. I choose to see it as nothing other than divine will. And that's how it's affected my music. That's what I create. I try to transmit what I feel at all times into music. And a lot of it has been very serendipitous, like, you know,
Define serendipitous for those
happy accidents. Happy accidents.
Okay.
Happy accidents where you believe, like, for example, like all the instruments that I've gotten, I never knew like the Santur was going to be the centerpiece. I just got it just to get it. And I have a lot of other instruments too.
such as
the gazheng, which is a Chinese harp, the auto harp, which is a German harp, kalimba, African, the tar, which is a Persian guitar, shruti box. I have a didgeridoo at home, a Moog synthesizer. I consider synthesizers as instruments as well. The piano, and officially I got another one called the 9-bar swinging chime.
So do you like record samples and then use them in your beats, or do you record live? Like, what's your process?
I record them live, and they're in the place of samples, you know. I love sampling. Don't get me wrong, like sampling, like trying to find, you know, something to base my music out of. Like some of my greatest songs have been inspired just by like a clip, like a short sample. Sometimes I don't even use those samples, you know, but like, you know, they're very, very important to me. All aspects of music. Music is just truly, truly an infinite craft. And yeah.
When did you start? You know, when did you start taking music seriously?
18. When I was 18, I started DJing, and I was just like, I got like a residency. I got like a little taste of what it feels like to be in the spotlight. And then I made a DJ demo that me and my friend, CJ, we would go out and we recorded it, and we would go and hand it out to everybody. Like everybody, every store. We were trying to get booked everywhere throughout the whole city. And my dad at the time, he knew a DJ who toured worldwide. And he was like, hey, let me give it to him. So he gave it to him. And then I get a call shortly later to talk to him so he can give me feedback. And he basically told me, he said, listen, man, like, and at first this was the catch, you know, at first this is what drew me into it. And I enjoy freedom. Freedom is one of the top 3 things in my life that is a necessity. If anything constricts this, I suffer. And He told me, listen, this is cool, okay, but my advice to you is to start going into production. And he said, start producing. That's where the real money is at. That's where everything is at. If you want to be anything in music, you have to learn how to produce. I said, okay. And he referred me a book called Dance Music Manual. And the rest was history. I remember I started reading it hardcore in the middle of my senior year in high school. And I dove in like there was no tomorrow. And the journey just kept unfolding more and more.
What have you experienced on the production side of your business, as you've kind of started seeing a lot of mine, here at College Beats? What have you learned over this past week as far as, whether or not our production and how you think it may affect yours in the future?
I got super inspired being down here. Just visuals, like people need to see, that's the biggest thing that I've taken away this entire weekend is people need to see. There's a lot of people out here doing so much promo. And I'm going to really make it an effort to, once I get back home, to make people see the experiences, because not everyone can attend. Not everyone could attend the shows that we went to this weekend, but everybody has the chance to see it on repeat if they wanted to, if they chose to, or just one time with us doing visuals with you behind the production.
Yeah, so I think that's something that you've had a really big problem with is people flaking, people
Right.
saying that they would be there. And one thing that I've really missed out on, at least, in the past year of us talking, is any sort of visuals. And I know you do have, a few things cooking up. We don't obviously want to allude to that too much.
Right.
And those are some quality visuals, don't get me wrong.
Right.
Very suspenseful, very pretty,
Shout out to my man, John Johnson.
Wearing the same outfit. Thought it would be a lot better on the red and black background than an original maroon option.
Hey, all good.
We're looking crispy.
Hey.
Yeah. And so from what you've learned from us, the promo side, the video side, is this something that you think that you could do yourself, or is it something that you would have us out for?
It's all about the team. It's all about the team. And it's all about the team, man. It's all about the team. In Vegas, it's always been just me. And it's not even a bad thing, and I always believed that my intentions were different. And so I never really stressed about, who comes into my inner circle. I just worried about taking care of myself.
Sure.
That's always been number one.
Yeah.
'Cause that'll come eventually, And like I said, it's all about no matter what you do, even if it's just friendships, it's all about aligning yourself with the people who have the same intentions as you do, what your heart wants. Yeah.
Okay.
So the team, yeah, whenever they come, they'll come.
Sure.
That's the bottom line. And that's what I really gained from you guys. It was such a community effort, but like in a way, like everybody was hungry. Everybody was hungry. Like, hey, of course, College Beats, you guys have the shit. You guys, good brand, it really fits the vibe of up and coming creators. I want to first off talk about inspiration. Inspiration, because you cannot control inspiration and how you get inspired, like I said. So you might be a rapper going on YouTube, checking out a YouTube beat, and you get a burning desire in your heart to write to that song. Now, is that wrong? No, absolutely not. Okay. Releasing it, okay, if you're releasing it without
or performing it,
um, I would reach out to the person who made it. You know, I wouldn't just take it. Uh, if it's to a small audience, then that's a different story.
What I'm talking about is when you go to a show, and I don't know if this is, just in Cincinnati, but from what I've heard, is in some situations you have artists taking the same songs and definitely not having the exclusive rights, probably not purchasing the song, and having artists back to back perform the same beat.
To be honest with you, man, to be 100% honest with you, unless they're making a lot of money, unless they're making a ton of money off of it, then it's not really a problem.
Yeah, it's no trouble because
it's not trouble. Like if you're making a lot of money off of someone else's work and you're not giving the money to them or the due credits to them,
sure,
then yes. But if you're not getting hundreds of thousands of views.
But guess what? I'm not talking about the producer now. I'm talking about organizational structure in general. That if you're running around building a brand on somebody else's name, somebody else's work that you don't even, promote, how are we as producers, or how as we as, news and media company, when I'm scrolling through IG and I just see a ton of kids, ripping off already known beats, or, using all of the same YouTube beats, I cannot really establish any sort of first impression or respect to a certain extent. Because like you said, that if you're not even willing to contact the producer,
well,
but what if you don't, what if you don't know how to contact the producer? I'm talking about, kids these days that, what if they don't know the correct direction? Because I'll tell you right now, when I was
etiquette,
I'll tell you right now, when I was in high school, I didn't know where a studio was. I wouldn't have felt comfortable going into one.
Right.
So why would I be comfortable calling a producer? Right.
It's such a tough question, man, because, and I'll just tell you what I believe, what I want to speak to you.
Sure.
And that is those kinds of people are setting themselves up to hit a brick wall, basically. Because in order for anybody to excel, you really truly have to be different, and everything has to be very cohesive with what you want to do. And that's called synergy. Okay. And synergy is something that is picked up subconsciously by people. And that is being in vertical alignment with your product, and I truly do believe that they're setting themselves up to be, to basically hit a brick wall eventually at some point.
Do you think that we could help them though? To not provide a brick wall, but to provide some sort of infrastructure of the bare minimum.
Absolutely, man.
That I understand, like SoundCloud lets you post music, but SoundCloud doesn't help you create music.
Right.
Right. And I think that creation process is more important than the posting part. Because in a lot of situations that I talk to artists about, for example, like the favorite song that I have of yours, that for me, unless you have something that's better than your current best,
but that's
what am I supposed to do with that?
I mean,
that's my opinion, I guess.
Yeah. It's super biased, and really, you really can't control inspiration, bro. Like, if you try to recreate something that you've already recreated.
And I guess that's like for all artists, whether or not it's, Led Zeppelin, you can't make two stairways to heaven, that you can't.
You can remix it.
Yeah, you can remix it.
If you're inspired to.
Well, I've got somebody that I'd like to remix Fire with. If you want to talk to me a little bit about the artist that I presented you with this weekend.
There was two of them that really stood out to me. One of them was Monty, that we saw at the Cincy Secret show. And the other one was this kid, Jimmy from Starship, that you presented to me as well. And you know, all I can say, like, I can sit here and analyze them, but I can just make it simple and just say, when you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
And they got it.
Well, I think what you really appreciate is something that's dimensional and
Right.
authentic.
Authenticity is key. And see, when you talk about struggle, when you talk about things that universally to humans, it's something that people go through experience, your music has that much more impact and emotional connection to the people. And emotional connection is what gets people to continue to come back more and more and more. And that's how you create fans, loyal fans.
Tell us about your 1,000 fan dream, right? Or goal.
No, it's definitely a goal. It is one of many goals, but if you can get 1,000 true loyal fans to be behind you, you can make a very comfortable living as a musician. 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 1,000 true fans that if you drop an album, that if you put out a t-shirt, merchandise, that they'll buy it from you because they support you. 1,000 true fans.
Sure. So how many true fans would you estimate that you have? Putting you on the spot right now on your IG live, right?
Dude, honestly, I have no clue. Yeah. I would say no more than 100. Like, and even that's probably a lot. I really don't know who my true fans are. I never know who's listening to me either, but I have to. This is like the momentum of my life.
So
just
what's
continuing
today?
to push forward.
Let's find it out. So it is Monday, March 26th.
March? Where did March go?
2018.
Crazy.
And so at this date, you said sub 100 range. So we got to go 10x from here. What's your plan? What's your plan to build 10 times gains?
So I'm currently taking vocal lessons. I really do believe that the most beautiful and unique instrument is your own voice. It is how you communicate with people. And I feel like my music, to add an extra dimension to it, is me speaking on it, me singing on it, me rapping on it. And, you know, just like with what I already create, it's going to be different, you know, but it gives, this is the best way. Music, I've focused on music these past 6 years, okay? Music is for the soul, lyrics are for the mind. I want to capture both the mind and the soul of a person, of a listener, of someone who's experiencing my music. And that is why I believe me putting my vocals on my tracks will speed this process up even more.
Okay.
October 20th was when I started. October 20th is when I started. And so it's been 4 events since then. And now I'm going to do one every single month and just bring in incredible talent. First, starting off in Vegas, and in the future, outside of Vegas, near Vegas, like California and all those states around us. And then hopefully in the far, far future, you know, bring people from Ohio, the East Coast.
Sure.
You know.
Because like something else that I noticed when I talk about the podcast a lot, and this is kind of like running themes a little bit, but at least in Cincinnati, what we see a lot of is industry people attending shows. That there's hardly a core fan base of people that do support people, you know, whether or not that's buying their album, buying their merch, but that, as it turns out for us, the majority of shows we're all industry people. We're all networking.
Mhm.
You know, everybody's trying to talk business. That what relationship and what role do fans play in Vegas that compared to what you've seen in Cincinnati?
Man, it's the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I don't really know how to explain it, but I feel like you could tell me if I'm wrong or not about Cincinnati too. But it's kind of like the same crowd, the same like fan base that's continues to come around. And but the most important thing is to bring a variety of artists. That's the only time where people get exposed to new people and new fans get created, is to bring a variety of artists or DJs down, not really the people that always run together. Because the people that always run together are going to bring the same people to that thing, unless, you know, someone randomly is walking across the bar, hears the music, and just goes in.
How do you think social media and the internet in general has played a role in the decrease of fans? Because it's like, why would you spend like 2 hours getting ready, you know, paying for an Uber, paying for, you know, in some cases $100 worth of bottles, when you could just watch a recap video? You know, to fans,
Oh, well, no, there's a difference
social
between
media.
I mean,
You know, like, how do you think that has affected this industry? You know, and how do you think it's going to continue to affect the industry?
social media is
That why would you come to a show? Like, answer that. Like, why would you come to a show?
for the experience, for the live experience, for the people you might meet, for the realizations that you might have.
Sure. But do you think people in the future, that if we're really just witnessing people that from the industry that are coming, and that fans really, you know, aren't showing up unless it's, you know, a big live event with, you know, EDC, 100,000 people show up,
Right.
right? That if you're going to be spending $1,000, $1,200 for a spot at Electronic Forest, or, you know, some larger scale event, why would you spend the entire year going to, you know, smaller shows and maybe not getting as good of an experience, and you would save money and end up putting money into, you know, bigger events? Isn't that basically what fans are doing? Like, let's talk about the business side of this, you know, like in the future, like how do you think people are going to, you know, react?
Sorry. I got it. Okay.
I mean, that's a
I
hard
have no,
question.
but you know, but
Like,
no,
thi-
but no.
like,
Check
let's
this out.
get
Check
deep.
this out.
You know what I'm saying? Let's
No,
get
no, no.
deep.
You're right. You're right. Check this out.
Like, this isn't a normal podcast.
But no, but let me tell you this. What you told me brought me this idea, virtual reality. You know, can that be the future of concerts? Is that where this is all gonna go to eventually?
Yeah, and it's not like you would have to then lift up your phone and you could then just experience it. It's
Right.
on video
Yeah.
for you. You know, you
Yeah.
could look at it at any time.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So
Yeah.
you think virtual reality could play a role?
Yeah, virtual reality will definitely play a role. Because, dude, let me tell you, I don't know. I don't know.
This is
might be
interesting.
deep.
Let's
This might
get
be
deep.
But
Let's
no,
get
but
deep.
honestly, like, this is like what I see in the future for me. Like, there's two sides of me. There's the artist, okay? And then there's the record producer. The artist is the experience creator. The record producer is the guy who's commercial and has more structure. We'll talk about that later. So the artist, I envision people coming in. And I've had ideas for this, but it's never really executed due to, you know, circumstances. But I've always envisioned a full sensory experience for people, you know, and virtual reality can provide that for people. The idea that I've had is people sitting in a chair and it's a dome with me playing in the middle, but they're not really seeing me. I'm playing the music, but they're kind of looking up at the sky, and there's a storyline that is unfolding as they're experiencing the story that I'm telling through my music, through my words. And so virtual reality could be an augmentation of that, of people just hearing the music live. And of course, I improvise a lot on the Sand Tour. and hearing the music live and going through, the experience, going through whatever it is that I'm trying to convey while having a full sensory experience. So that's it. That's my thing on that's kind of like when you told me like
of music.
yeah, no, when you told me like about social media, like people watching it on their phones and stuff, like is that really a bad thing? Like
No, I'm
that's
not
why
saying it's a bad thing.
No,
I'm just
no.
talking about reality.
No, that's what I'm saying though. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying it's a bad thing either, but that's what it brought me to. I was like, oh, yo, virtual reality, that could really be like what people want next instead of going to the shows. Like there are people who can go to the shows, and then there could be a virtual reality based off of the show. Social media is
And do you think like
double-edged sword.
with like all the controversy, obviously we are streaming on Facebook right now, so hopefully they're not listening, but with the controversy with them, kind of leaving a lot of people vulnerable, the friends of the people that opted into Analytica. I don't know if what its full name is. I obviously don't have the paperwork here, but how do you think that social media is going to change? Because it's just one more layer of, Big Brother. Are people going to wake up and go, hey, it's time to delete my Facebook? And then if that creates a new renaissance for people going out, for people, building their own things.
It very well could, man.
I mean, we could be at the cusp of the next, renaissance, because once people realize that, we're spending tons and tons of time on the internet. We're currently on the internet right now. You guys are currently watching us right now on the internet. You are not currently, you're sitting in your car, you're on the toilet, you're in the shower. However you're listening to us, you're not in this room. You're not experiencing our vibe. You're not, building any real sort of relationship with us.
People can feel.
But I feel that, in a lot of situations, whether or not celebrities or movie stars, that, that movie star that you saw, that's just a character of him. The people that we're playing right now are characters of ourselves. Mm-hmm. That this is not a natural thing to have to sit here and talk into microphones and, right. So it's like, it's not something that is natural to us, neither is eating sugar, in these quantities. Neither is eating this meat in these quantities.
Right.
There are so many things that are saturated, and I think that one of the major things are we've become so jaded thinking that this is just what the reality is, that, there's a McDonald's every, 2.5 miles,
I'll definitely tell you this, brother. And we have been transitioning into a new paradigm of existence for a couple of years now, and it's just going to continue. What's going to happen tomorrow, I'm not really sure, but I know everything that is occurring right now is for the highest evolution of every single human being that's out there.
Role in your life, because we wouldn't be sitting here right now, right? If I hadn't have heard the first, 30 seconds of that song.
Well, that song, the intention of it was Kian, king, initiating all noble. Okay, into this new wave of music. So my name Kian in Farsi, it means king of kings. And so king, I'm the king, initiating everybody who is noble enough to come on to this new wave of entertainment. And so I think when it comes to back to synergy and intention, that was the intention. And that's why that song was so commercial. And so
kind of like wake everybody up.
Wake everybody up
a little bit.
Yeah. Shake them up a little bit.
So what you're saying is like you have plans or you have hopes to drop these little,
they'll come right now. Right now, these past 2 weeks of my life, I have steered away from the artist and experience creator. It's still always going to be there, but
Sure.
more towards the record producer.
So if someone were to want to approach you about potentially producing their album, EP, single, how would you want someone to contact you?
Social media. Well, first of all, they have to listen to the vibe behind the music. Go to my website, Kian, Kian, music.us. Check everything out. You'll see the songs that I've produced, everything that's been full production. And then just contact me. Feel free.
Yeah. And what would you suggest? Because this is an interesting topic as well. Mass, copy and paste type of DMs. Do you think people should be authentic, genuine, or
they have
is
to
it,
like
is it
they have to
spam
like
kind of route?
I mean, if I start getting a lot of inquiries, then I have to be choosy,
Selective.
Yeah, I can't just. And even if I don't get a lot of inquiries, I still have to be passionate about whoever it is
Yeah.
that I'm working with.